Do you remember about the Iran hostage crisis?
Uh, what I remember, it was just one more thing that demonstrated the ineptitude of Jimmy Carter. And when that was all, when we had gone through all of that and some of the other decisions he made, I had originally voted for him primarily because he was a Sunday school teacher, a, and he said he was a Christian, but toward the end of that first 4 years, I had become very disillusioned with him.
What do you remember about Elvis Presley and the Beatles?
Elvis Presley. When I was probably in grammar school, my sisters, especially my oldest sister, was really into Elvis. Elvis this, Elvis that, and they just were enamored with Elvis Presley. And so I remember my dad one time saying, I don't know what you see in Elvis Presley. He doesn't have any talent. Yeah. And so I took that for, at his word. And I, in fact, repeated that, Elvis doesn't have any talent. But what do I remember about the Beatles? Yeah, I was in high school. They were the latest rage. Every kid in high school was listening to the Beatles. I remember seeing them on the Ed Sullivan Show, and people my age started even combing their hair like them and growing their hair out. And it was just the latest rage, and it was a lot of fun. But it seemed like, I can't remember how long, maybe a year or two into their debut, they started getting off into Eastern religion, and it sounded like drugs to me, songs about drugs. Uh, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Uh, Speaking of LSD, I'm assuming.
Hmm.
And so I think they were very talented. I still think that, but spiritually, in my opinion, they really they didn't have any anchor. They got out there.
Okay. What were your favorite activities growing up? Like your favorite songs, movies, or games?
Well, depends on what age. Games we would play. Who's Afraid of Shere Khan, where people would line up on the lawn, and then you would try to run by the guy that was it, and if he could tag you, then you would be someone who was it, and then he would join. And so that was one thing that we played a lot. We played tetherball, uh, dodgeball. Um, we played doing things we shouldn't have done, like playing with ammunition and making cannons and so forth like that that could have been very dangerous. We we built a humongous tree house, and it was huge. A bunch of us would get up in there and have fun. And one time I went out of town for a weekend with a friend. We went up to the Russian River to spend the weekend. When we came back, we found that the treehouse had crashed. One guy broke his back, another guy broke his his hip bone, and another guy his thumb, and they got beat up and scarred up. But easily, my friends could have been killed in that accident. So we did, kind of thing. We would dig uh, holes, and tunnels, and we would have these underground forts. They would run all over the place. That all that kind of stuff was a lot of fun. We would make coasters and put like wagon wheels on this cart that we had built and ride down the hills in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we just had a lot of fun doing all that kind of stuff.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Um, how was school different when you were a student?
How was it different? Um, well, I really don't know. I remember in high school, there was definitely a dress code. In most public schools, I question whether or not there is one today. Um, in high school, that was the beginning of the demonstrations, the war demonstrations, and so forth. And so that was beginning to happen on campus in high school. Um, but there